All right. And I'm starting the recording now, and we'll just start the show here in a couple minutes. Hey, Tim, welcome, welcome. All
Hello,
right.
how's it going?
I'm good. I'm good. Got Brandon here. Our titles are
Hey,
good. Okay. All right, guys. Yeah, we took a little bit of a hiatus there, and welcome to the Jolocast. So we took the NFC Championship or the Pro Bowl week off. Thank goodness. It was nothing to discuss there. But we got Super Bowl coming up. We'll talk about the pre conference championship games that were amazing. Both of them were pretty damn incredible, and it was awesome to see. We'll probably dip into a little bit of a MLB and their controversy this week on voting for steroids players entering the Hall of Fame, and who did and who didn't, and maybe touch on Trevor Bauer and some crypto if we have some time. But yeah, I mean, we can get started talking about that AFC Championship, that first game from 2 weeks ago. I mean, we were talking about it, Tim, how we thought the Chiefs really had it, kind of locked in at home. They were playing well enough their defense was well enough to win, and we thought Bengals would have to play a perfect game to go in there and win. And it's kind of crazy how that went down. I mean, what I saw was that play to end the first half was really the defining moment where the Bengals felt like they had a chance.
Yeah, that I'm
Yeah.
sure that changed things a little bit. I mean, it definitely changed the momentum. They came out. It was basically you saw both versions of the Chiefs. Like we saw in the middle of the season, they were kind of not looking so great. Patrick Mahomes was forcing things too much. First half, they had their way with them, and then the second half, it was that team came back to rear its ugly head. And I don't know. I mean, credit the Bengals too, because I think they changed their game plan. But I'm sure that not giving up points at the end of the half probably gave them some momentum going into the second for sure.
Oh, agreed. I mean, yeah, what was Patrick Mahomes QBR in the first half? Over 120 or 130, but in the second half it was barely at like 10. So
Yeah,
it was, the difference of tail of two halves. That pretty much wild, wild scene. I mean, we got to give the Bengals credit the way they shut him down in that second half, and they made the adjustments. The Chiefs did nothing, and that was probably the most shocking part. Like Andy Reid, you would expect more from him in that way, but they just really had no answer to what the Bengals were doing, and you could see, young Joe Burrow just kind of getting more confident as the game was going on. They scored again early in that second half, and it was like, okay, they feel like they can do this, and all they felt like if they. What's funny is they felt like they were looking for overtime. If they could get there, they would have a chance, and they did. It was pretty incredible.
yeah, and I
Um,
mean the Chiefs just don't have a run game, and that's really like so all the Bengals did in the second half was drop like 8 into coverage on every play, and that's that's all they needed to do. The Chiefs didn't even try to run the ball, but I guess they have decent running backs, but they just don't do it. And I think Philly fans probably that was one of their problems with Andy Reid back when he was there is that he would either abandon the run too fast or just not stick with it, even when they had like Brian Westbrook and so
yeah, I mean Westbrook in his heyday, right? I mean, and then they were throwing the ball with McNabb 20 times, more than 20 times a half, which was kind of crazy. Like, dude, you got
yeah.
Westbrook in the backfield, so so good. Bengals are off to the Super Bowl. Good for them with a great win in overtime, and then the second game, which the game we kind of stuck around my house for and watched was that Rams Niners game. Part three of the rematch, and lived up to the billing. It was a really really fun game. It was exciting to see LA fans finally get onto the hype train with this team. I'm even guilty of it. I don't root for the whole team like I should. I would like to, but it's hard. I'll admit it's very hard because we've hadn't had football here in so long. But now I feel like this is the moment. This is the moment where the Rams can, with that amazing win over the Niners, where they can capitalize on a fan base. I remember being a young kid in my preteens, and not seeing any football teams here. I was like, well, who am I going to root for? And that's why I defected to other teams, just like many, many other people that defected to Cowboys fans, Niners fans, Chargers fans. So this is an opportunity for this team to really, really generate a fan base. And I was really impressed with how their defense carried them through that game. And Matt Stafford made all the plays he needed to. It was just a really, really, really good game by the Rams. I was very impressed. What were your take on it?
Yeah, I pretty much agree. Although Matt Stafford made a play that should have possibly killed the game for them, but it was dropped by the defensive back. Otherwise, who knows what we'd be talking about right now. It's so I still don't fully believe in him. I'm sure you're probably with me there. And if they don't win Sunday, then they haven't done anything more than they did with Jared Goff. So we'll see if he makes that kind of throw against the Bengals. I don't know that they'll, I don't think they're going to drop it like that guy did. But
Yeah,
otherwise, defense is good for sure. So
that throw and drop was one of those moments where it could have changed the fortunes of both teams, right? I mean, that should have
yeah,
been the game clincher. 2 plays later, they go down the field and score. So, I mean, it was
yeah.
very, very
There,
difference.
there's 10 minutes left, I think. So it's like you don't know for sure. They were down by 3. You never know, but it definitely that would have completely changed the game for sure. So they got lucky, but I think you need to get a little bit lucky along the
Yeah.
way. So yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I think with every team that makes their run to the Super Bowl, there's a little luck on their side, right? I mean, you have obviously you have to have great talent on your team. You got to have great offensive, defensive line, quarterback that's serviceable, and you have to get the ball bouncing your way, get a couple calls your way. I don't think there's ever been a team that's just outright dominated because they were the best. I mean, even the Patriots have had their luck of the tuck rule games and other, games like that where they've had the ball bounce their way. So yeah, this is
yeah,
kind of the Rams' moment. They got to capitalize on it now, and we'll see if Stafford gets it done. But I'm with you. If he doesn't get it done, I don't see him any better than Jared Goff. I see it as a one-for-one swap. You traded away the same player that you got in return. So
yeah.
yeah,
And Cooper Cup wasn't the guy he is today either. With Jared. I mean, maybe he was. I think maybe part of his improvement is because Matthew Stafford's a little bit better at getting him the
yeah.
ball, but then they got Beckham, and it's too bad Robert Woods got hurt because I mean that would make him just that much more dangerous. But
If Robert
yeah,
Woods was still in the lineup, I think it would be the matchup of the two best receiving cores in Super Bowl history. I would think
yeah,
these would be the two best match because Higgins, Boyd, and why am I forgetting
Chase,
his name? Chase, Jamar
the best
Chase
out of them.
are like the best out of them, exactly. Are a three-headed monster out there. I mean, I don't know how the Rams are going to defend it. It's going to be very interesting to see. Raheem Morris has even admitted that he's unsure on how they're going to defend this because they have weapons all over the field. So if Woods was there with Beckham and with Cup, oh my goodness, this team would be it would be an equal matchup. It would just be balls going to be chucked around the field. I anticipate
Yeah,
1,200 yards passing combined between the two teams. Just, I really believe it's going to be a high scoring game. I just think they're going to chuck the ball around and, because the Bengals aren't going to win by trying to control the clock. It's just not going to happen because the Rams have such a potent offense. They can score immediately as well. So this game is going to be
yeah.
kind of just a back and forth, chuck fest and see who can put more, put the highest score up because they're going to put up a lot of points.
Well, that depends on Cincinnati's offensive line, though. I mean,
Oh,
I'm a little bit worried for Joe Burrow's safety against Aaron Donald and Von Miller. I mean,
yeah.
I don't know. It could be a long game for Burrow, but if the line holds up and gives him time, then yeah, it's going to be a shootout. So
Yeah. No, that's very, very true. And this is one of those weird games where in matchups, you typically you see like a Super Bowl MVP always be a quarterback, right? And it's always kind of top billing for Super Bowl MVP. But this is one of those rare
yeah,
times where you can see the Super Bowl MVP like be like a Ray Lewis or be a defensive player. And I think Aaron Donald, if he breaks that 2.5 sacks mark, he might be the MVP of the game. So if you think about it, he
yeah. I
is the
think someone
force
put a
for.
big bet on him to be the super. I read something the other day, like somebody put a pretty big bet on him to be the Super Bowl MVP because it's got pretty long odds on it. But whoever bet that's going to win a lot of money if he does. So
Well, so we think about it. What
yeah.
3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago, Joe Burrow got sacked 9 times. I mean,
Yeah.
so if Aaron Donald gets 3 sacks in the game and one of those is a sack fumble and a pickup and score or something, I mean that it kind of locks it up. That's not out of the realm of possibility.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think he's got a good chance to, or Cooper Cup. I mean, obviously it's usually a quarterback, but if Cooper Cup has one of his monster, 10 catch, 150-yard game,
Two
couple
touchdowns.
touchdowns, he could
Yeah.
be the MVP too. But yeah, maybe the Bengals will double cover him all day. I don't know if any team has tried that this year. I mean, if they have, they obviously failed, but I don't know. The guy just knows how to get open.
If all I know is if the Bengals put Eli Apple on Cooper Cup, it's going to be a long day. A long
Yes.
day for them.
My
You
friend sent
know?
me this meme. Did you see there's a meme that said something like, Lord forgive Cooper Cup for what he's going to do to Eli Apple during Black History Month or something like that.
Oh no.
It's I'm not getting the line exactly right, but it's
But it's pretty abrasive line that way. Wow,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's
But
tough, man. Yeah, I would assume that the Bengals defensive coach is uh the defensive coordinator and the DB's coach are being like, hey, we got to double triple this dude. Like we literally got to hit him with a linebacker and then have a safety help with the corner one Eli Apple with them.
yeah,
Because if we don't, he's gonna catch 8 to 10 balls on us, no problem.
make Beckham beat you, and if he does, like most of Stafford's bad throws that I've seen when I've watched the Rams have been towards Beckham, just because like I don't know if I think they're more on the same page now than they were before, but still I think that throw that should have been a pick that we were talking about earlier was targeted to Beckham,
Beckham, that's right.
and it was just a horrible. I don't know if he ran the wrong route or Stafford just made a horrible decision, but it was obviously a bad throw. So
Probably a combination of both, right? I mean, not out of
yeah,
the realm of the possibilities, outcomes there. I mean, they are still. They've only been together what over 5 weeks now or so, so they're still building kind of a rapport with each other. But I mean, Cooper
yeah,
Cup and Stafford have been together since summer last year, and they literally spent every single day together in the off season, having
yeah.
breakfast together. Like they built like a real bond. So their
And it
minds are in sync.
shows.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
it shows. So
yeah,
yeah, Beckham's not there. So yeah, if you're defensive for the Bengals, yeah, live with die with Beckham beating you. Don't live and die with Cooper Cup beating you because everybody knows it's coming. So if people
yeah,
like if you lose because Beckham had a great 8 catch, 120 yards and a touchdown game, you live with that, right? You live and die with that. But Cooper Cup comes out and like I said, has 150 yards, 2 TDs. It's like in 10 catches. Everybody's gonna be like, "Duh, this
yeah.
this is the scenario. You knew it was coming."
I mean, it's
So
not like it's easy. If it were easy, teams would have stopped him at some point this year. But he never got shut down really completely. I don't think in any game. Like his worst game was probably still like 60 yards. So
yeah,
but
I don't remember a game where he actually didn't have a excellent output. Let's put it that way. And you and I are
yeah,
extensive fantasy players, and whoever had him on his roster was kind of riding high on the hog all season because he was
yeah,
incredible.
yeah.
So yeah, but as it comes to the game, we're a few days away here, and we're really excited. Actually, we have 3 friends who are at the current NFL experience now. 3 friends of ours, a couple friends of the show, Rob and Angel. They're there right now, kicking field goals through uprights, pulling some hamstrings. I just got a text, yeah, from Rob that he ripped something in his quad, so he's not sure how he's gonna get home. So that's great. Glad we have our guys
Well,
representing out there. Yeah,
my
but
wife got into a drawing for Super Bowl tickets through some radio station. Like
oh,
there's only about 100 people, so it's not like the greatest chance, but still,
that's pretty good.
I
That's pretty
think
good.
they announced the winner tomorrow, so we'll see. But
Yeah, Brandon and I, we're proud Rams season ticket holders, and we had a great run here in the postseason with them so far. It's been wonderful. That's why we've been rooting for the Rams to do well. But we were both in that season ticket lottery system to get Super Bowl tickets. Unfortunately, I didn't get selected. I got my email on Wednesday. What about you, Brandon?
Yeah, same here. I wasn't surprised.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
there's
funny.
there's thousands of people in that drawing, right? I mean,
the last time I checked, it was 8% odds, so it'll eventually happen 1 in 12 times or whatever it is. But yeah, because I think that about that, give or take, but maybe a few years ago. So yeah, you're going to be waiting a few seasons. So the question you have to ask yourself is if you get selected, do you have the cash ready to go to buy them? Because 4,000 each, and if you have 4 obligated, 6, you're playing a decent sized game there.
Yeah, exactly. You're
it's a
playing
rare opportunity, that's for sure. But
yeah. I even saw that the stadium was trying to prevent secondhand market sales. I don't know how they would do that, but I saw that there was some sort of prevention that they were trying to do with that. So, but who knows? I mean, people, when there's a will, there's a way. They're gonna sell them out there. But yeah, I mean, I hope the Rams win. I think it'll be a great, again, a great moment for the city, a great moment for LA fan base. The kids in this area need this just so the city can have some roofer, right? I mean, if you've been a Los Angeles sports fan for as many decades as we have been, Brandon and I are creeping up to 40 here, and Brandon just had a birthday, so belated happy
Thank
birthday,
you.
Brandon. Yeah,
Thank
yeah,
you.
he's the old man of our group by
We
2
got
months.
Bible study tonight, so I'll be celebrating a little bit.
Yeah, but
happy birthday.
Thank you. Go Rams.
Go Rams. There we go. But it's been, it's just a moment right here. It's a moment where I would like to see a new revitalized fan base for football, and this is the opportunity. This is what everybody envisioned when the team moved here 4 years ago, and now is the opportunity for time for them to strike and really build that young core and older fans like me. Get us on board because we do want to be on board with some local love. So
you can root for the Chargers. I mean, they're not the only LA team. They might suck, but they'll be good one day.
Tim, I thought about that. I really did. I was like, Chargers have such a good young nucleus. The quarterback's amazing. I really want to root for them, but just the ownership makes it so difficult. They feel like Clippers to me, right? I've been a lifelong Laker fan. I've been a lifelong Dodger fan, and the Chargers just feel like the Clippers to me. They can't get no matter what they do. Even if they win, they can't get me to believe in the hype. Where the Rams could do it a little bit more, just because I feel like they're not trying as hard, and they just don't seem as, I don't know what the word is, petty or meek. They have a different vibe about them. So it's hard. It's hard. I know.
Well, in the last 20 years, the Chargers had one team that could have won the Super Bowl. That was Tomlinson's year that he broke the touchdown record, and they completely blew it in the divisional round against the Patriots.
So, oh yeah, that was a rough game.
That was 2006, and I still remember it like it was yesterday. But
yeah, that Marty was still the coach of that team, right? At the time, Martin Schottenheimer.
Yeah, they went 14-2. They were totally dominant, and then just choked in the playoffs, and he got fired.
Yeah, Marty was a great coach. I really liked him, and I thought that was they gave him a raw deal there for that. Yeah. Good old Dean. What are you gonna do, Spanos?
I don't know. Who knows whose idea it was, but anyway.
But yeah, let's go with scores here. So I believe the Rams will pull this off in a high scoring game. So I'm saying 35-28 Rams.
I didn't even think about that before. Boy, I don't know. I know you guys are rooting for the Rams, but I can't bring myself to do it because they're the other LA team. So I'm gonna say, I don't know. I think Matthew Stafford has one of his turnover fests, and it's going to be 27-20 Bengals.
And you picked the Chiefs 2 weeks ago, right? Couldn't bet against them, were your words.
Yes, well, that was my words. I know Tim was somewhat on the bandwagon. I think the only one of us that picked the Chiefs of our friends was Carlos. The Bengals.
Well, which you mean in the championship? The conference championship round?
Yeah.
Yeah, I picked the Chiefs.
Yeah, you can't bet against them. It's too difficult. So now you think the Bengals are underrated, or they're actually?
They're that team that just got hot at the right time. Like it happens a lot. Suddenly at the end of the year, they got hot, and now they've, They've won
That's
I
how
don't know how many games in a
that's how you
row.
win in
but-
baseball too.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
what's unique about the Bengals right now is they're kind of like those Joe Namath Jets teams, right? They had no business being in the playoffs, and all of a sudden they get hot and they go on this tear and win the Super Bowl, right? I mean, this crazy run with Joe Namath, but that was before our time. But you go back and look at the history books, like you look at this team, like that team had no business being there, but they just, some teams just get hot at the right time, and this Joe Burrow is making this team look like that. So yeah, that's Bengals. If anyone's counting the Bengals out right now, you're crazy. But I believe the Rams do get it done just because of the what's at stake for them. What's at stake for them? You're at home. You traded away the farm to get to this moment, and this is where you have all the chips are in. You have to prove it here. So I just believe that they'll get it done. They know what's at stake. Where the Bengals are an up and coming team, they don't have that experience yet. Luckily, Sean McVay does have that experience of losing to Belichick already in the Super Bowl. So I think that'll also play a factor in there as well.
Yeah,
the
they
Braves
definitely
are a
have the
little bit
experience
brighter.
advantage.
Oh yeah.
Bengals hadn't
Oh
won
yeah.
a playoff game in what 34 years or something until this year. So
Exactly. Yeah. So every Bengals player has never been to the playoffs, right? Essentially. So yeah,
But Joe Burrow
those
did win a national championship, so
he
it's not a whole lot different. But
I mean, well, that's the thing with him, right? He's been a winner wherever he's gone. He won in high school. He dominated in college, even though he was a
yeah,
backup at Ohio State and he transferred. He gets finally his opportunity and he crushes it. So the guy's just built different. He's special. So the Rams need to be mindful of that, but I still believe they'll get it done. But kind of pivoting to people who are special though. This week we saw MLB kind of give out their Hall of Fame votes and the writers, and I know Tim, you're a Angels fan, right? Or
no, actually, I'm not all that into baseball, to be
baseball.
honest. I mean, I follow it a little bit, and I'll watch in the playoffs, but I just I don't have the patience to watch that many games.
Yeah, I know Brandon and I are big Dodger fans, but Brandon's got the luxury of also being, somewhat tied to Boston sports fandom as well because he lived there for so many years and he has really good insight, having gone to many Fenway games, many playoff runs that the Red Sox went through their prime years where they really kind of captivated the nation when they won their World Series championships. So, there was a big player on that squad who just got inducted to Hall of Fame, Big Papi, Big Papi, and yeah, look at that. Brandon's got his championship. Nice. Good pull there. Oh, look at that. Even all of them are up there. Oh, yeah, there it is. Oh, beautiful. Yeah. So Brandon's got some baseball love in his heart.
Not a lot of room to stretch the court here. Sorry, guys. I can't get it up close, but you get it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, that's great. Thank you for the, insight look that you possess. So what do you think, Brandon? Did you think the Big Papi deserved to get into the Hall of Fame? I mean, David Ortiz is kind of Boston royalty now, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I think he had all that, spark, that of charisma that the team can like lean on to crack the joke. And so, it's hard to compare baseball stats because era to era, it's so different. But if you look at it, not only for the champ that he was, but how he be remembered like affectionately loved from all sides. The Yankees even would crumble up with him after the series of course were done, and they all become very great friends around it. So I think in that way, that's kind of a testament to who he was, not just as a player but off the field too, which I hope goes to show matters as well. Your character has to be filled with integrity and love for the game, and I think that's what he demonstrated. So yeah, for sure. But it's hard to compare stats though. I don't know how you guys feel like to just use that math, and then suggest that because somebody cheated in their heyday, that eliminates all their chances, like almost off the bat. It's hard for me to then believe that we're just going to look at the stats of it, right? So I wonder how you balance the two, or if one truly eliminates the other.
Yeah, with baseball, it's so weird because it's really a stat-driven game. It really is. I mean, baseball is one of those games where people sit in the stands and literally have their scorebook card, and they're keeping score themselves on their, on their sheet. They have the player lineups in there, and it's the only game where I've ever seen that. It's kind of a unique phenomenon with the sport, and so it's very, very, very much stats and analytics driven. However, like you said, Brand, there is that element of passion and love and this, kind of holistic approach to it too that is sometimes not looked at, even how much you're beloved by the fan base. And I think all those things, when it becomes a Hall of Fame, need to be looked at. And I think that's why some players right now who are Hall of Fame number worthy, but not personality worthy, haven't gotten in. I mean, and due to the steroids era, it's unique because we were young teenagers when we watched the steroids era. I mean, you remember, Brandon, we were young
Brought
kids
baseball
watching,
back.
brought baseball back, but we saw McGuire and Sosa and their home run derby, and then immediately Bonds following that. Then we saw the steroid hearings with Rafael Palmeiro, and then Sammy Sosa now all of a sudden not knowing English. It was just kind of crazy stuff, So it's baseball went through a really, really unique time because it brought a lot of fans back to the game because of that. And I think that counts for something because they did save the game, but also at what cost? And it's tough right now. So Ortiz, while he was never officially caught or suspended, I was always suspicion that he did, and there was always the rumblings that he did. And him getting inducted was kind of like the first guy to do that. But you look at Roger Clemens, great pitcher, and he was one of the main ones that were caught up in that Balco situation. Barry Bonds, of course, his head grew 3 times the size of a normal human. So, people knew what was going on there. Sammy testing positive, McGuire testing positive, all these guys. And it's just tough now because now the baseball is in a situation where what do we do with these guys? And Clemens, I think, just lost his last year of eligibility. So I don't think he can get in anymore. And I think Bonds either lost his last year or he's coming up to his last year of eligibility as well. And it's pretty defining moment because these guys, while they saved baseball, they also did so much damage to it. I mean, they ruined careers of some pitchers too, like young pitchers coming out of minor leagues and stuff. They'd come in, face these guys, and just get raked immediately. So, it was going back down to the minors because you can't throw 3 strikes against one of the greatest hitters of all time. Like, come on. So, yeah, very, very unique situation. But I'm happy for David Ortiz, and Baseball Hall of Fame has a lot of
hallowed grounds.
Hallowed grounds, but they have a lot of internal soul searching that they got to do. Whether they're gonna, maybe do make a second Hall of Fame for this particular era because it was so unique to baseball, or do you just kind of wrap them all up and say, hey, I mean, you look at Pete Rose. Pete Rose is not in the Hall of Fame, and he gambled, and so it's a tough thing to say. Like, what are you gonna do? I don't know. What's your take on it, Tim? What do you think with the steroids era of baseball?
I definitely watched a lot more back then, but what I always found weird about it is that like those guys they were good hitters anyway. They obviously the steroids brought them, got them that extra power so they could hit 70 home runs. But Barry Bonds was a great hitter. I don't think he did steroids early in his career. I mean, like you said, his head suddenly exploded, and he was one of the best hitters in the game in his early career, and
he was just one of the best all-around players. I mean, he was 30 steals, 30 home runs. I mean, the guy was every year top 5 MVP candidate. He was incredible when he was with Pittsburgh. So yeah, it was tough to watch, and then me being a Dodger fan, I loved sitting in right field or left field pavilion and just laying into him.
When Bonds was there?
Oh yeah, it was
next to the foul pole.
Yeah, like I remember those seats during that era were like prime ticket seats. Everybody wanted to be there, not just to watch Barry Bonds, to heckle him. Oh my goodness, the heckling from the foul pole all the way to the center field, outfield seats. It was just heckling Barry Bonds the entire game. It was incredible. Loved being part of that.
I just remember a Jay Leno joke. I don't know when it was around that time. He was talking like every team in baseball should be allowed to have one steroid freak that, that way it evens it out. And then, he can come out and hit a home run every time he gets up, but just so at least, allow one and then it evens it out. But yeah, I thought that was funny. Not that would ever happen, but
no, and baseball's tried its best now to get it out of the game, but these guys are smart and drug companies are smart. they figure out ways to get around the systems. I mean, what was the big thing that they were outlawing last year in baseball, Brandon? Was it that spider tack adhesive that pitchers were using? They were getting too much rotation on the ball with it, so they started getting a bunch of pitchers. Infamously, here segue here, Trevor Bauer was getting popped for that beginning of his Dodgers career. They were having the umps check his glove and his thing every game.
That's what's increased recently, is that every time they walk off like 3 innings every game or whatever it is, they get checked. And so now they're not as upset when they get checked because it's kind of built into the like frequency of the game. But yeah, let's go to Trevor now. Absolutely. I've been itching at hearing how this is going to be reported.
Yeah, so Trevor Bauer, while an insanely talented individual pitcher, just one of the best pitchers on planet Earth, he doesn't come without his baggage. My goodness. I don't know if you guys ever saw this week, but he released a statement. So the Los Angeles Police Department officially announced that they were not going to press charges against Trevor Bauer. He's been since what was it? Quarter through the MLB season last year. He's been basically suspended by the Dodgers and MLB till this litigation, this process was
in a year where they're defending their championship.
That is very, very true. They were defending champs, trying to make another run, and he basically took our ace out of the lineup. So that's fine. There was a lot of allegations that were out there. Police have been investigating for months and months and months. And yesterday before where they finally said they were not pressing charges. So that news alone was kind of shocking based off all the evidence that was out there and the photos and the testimonies by this woman. But
would you say this time the court of public opinion was correct? Did the public opinion get his case correct this time?
I don't. I'm not going to jump to that. I'm going to say not yet. We're never going to really know what happened. The reality is there are pictures out there, and whatever happened between those two consenting adults, I don't think will ever be fully vetted. But he did release a video this week, and it was titled "The Truth." Big, bold white letters, black background. It's on YouTube, and I think it's been viewed millions of times already. And I as soon as I saw it, someone sent it to me through my WhatsApp and sent me the link, and I was like, oh boy, Trevor Bauer's statement. This was like literally an hour after the police released the statement that he was not going to get prosecuted. So he had this thing queued up, ready to go. And he basically sitting there in a chair, and he's talking about his pointing all this, his side of it, saying that, yeah, the public opinion kind of threw him under the bus, but he had consensual relationship with this woman. She wanted these things to happen to her, and it just kind of went off the rails from there. I was like, oh no, Trevor, stop, please stop talking. But yeah, he kind of laid it all out there for everybody, and he claimed things that he did and claimed that things that didn't happen. But he's just an interesting dude, and I'm just like, gosh, you kind of were gifted this moment, like, hey, the police just said you did no wrong. Just stay away to the limelight just for a second. Just let it breathe, right? Let people get over it. Like, no, and you basically had a little fire, turned to a cinder, and you threw 20 gallons of lighter fluid on it, and just to get everybody up in arms again about you. And while I think he's an outstanding pitcher, it's going to be very difficult for the Dodger organization to embrace him back. It's going to be difficult for the fan base to embrace him back, just because losing him was so detrimental to the season. It really cost them a title. So this is such a weird situation, such a unique situation. I don't even know where the Dodgers go from here. I think if the MLB now does their portion of their investigation, they find no wrongdoing as well, because it's going to happen. They have to do their end now, and he's not suspended. I think the Dodgers are kind of forced to take him back. Is the fan base going to accept that? I don't know. I won't be wearing Trevor Bauer jersey, and I know there was a lot of kids out there who were all up about with the sword celebration and everything. So, he's a unique character, but I don't know what the reception will be like after all this is said and done. So what are your take, Brandon? What do you think?
I can't make heads or tails of it, so I'm gonna stay out of that. But you covered it very well. I don't know what else I'm just so upset that you know you you're like guilty until you're proven innocent right now, and and like it's like you gotta be so careful, because obviously if he's not guilty, then or if he's not innocent, then we would all want him to have a speedy trial. So I'm gonna say he just needed to have a speedier trial, and especially when it comes to athletes, it's killer. But yeah, you covered it very well, man. I don't know what else I have to say about it.
Yeah, I mean, there was no buyout in the process. There was no, so I mean that's pretty evident that he was telling his side of the story truthfully. I think it's just that his candor and his personality just rubs people the wrong way, and I think that's why he loses in the court of public opinion. So who knows where he goes from here? But I think the Dodgers are saddled with him. What do you think, Tim? If it was a player on your team and you were, say, you were GM, how would you approach this now? Now that the police have said he did nothing wrong.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's like Brandon said, he was guilty until now he's proven innocent, essentially. So now, how do you change people's opinions of him, though? Like, there's people that are still going to believe, even though there's no charges filed against him officially. I'm sure there's people out there that still believe he did something wrong, or are going to view him as the guy. Like, even with NFL players, like, Big Ben gets, people call him Rapeless Burger because he allegedly raped a woman, which he was never charged with. And maybe he did, maybe he didn't, but his career went on. And I don't know. I think from what I know of Trevor Bauer, he's always been a little bit of a head case, kind of a weird guy. But if he doesn't play for the Dodgers, he'll be playing for someone, I'm sure. So.
And that's an excellent point right there, Tim. It's exactly it. If he's not pitching for the Dodgers in 2022, he's going to be pitching for somebody. Because in sports, like we've seen many, many times, Ray Lewis is a great example. You can be brought up on murder charges, but as long as you have some, people on your side and you have a good legal team, you're going to still play your sport. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, Michael Vick came back. I mean, there's guys that have done worse that still had careers afterwards. So,
yeah,
like Greg Hardy, he's one who I think is a lot worse than Trevor Bauer. But I'm sure the truth with this whole thing is probably somewhere in the middle, But,
yep, good point. What I really hope for Trevor is that he's learned from this, that you can't put yourself in situations like that. You have too much money. You
do
have
that
too
later.
Much yes, do that later in life.
Later,
Like whatever people's sexual desires are and fantasies, like that's all good and great, but you have to be careful with the realm you're in. You're in sports entertainment. There's a lot of eyeballs on you constantly. The media is just looking to tear you apart. You just have to be smart about that. And I don't.
But your earnings power are at the most risky.
Yeah.
That's what kills me, is that you're jeopardizing time on an athlete's body. You take one season away, that's 1/5 of an average of a typical, hot part of your career. So if it's happening right now, you've severely limited your earnings potential.
Oh yeah, that's a really, really good point. And
I know they're in longer term contracts, but still.
And that's what makes it that much worse if it was a totally, false allegation against him, and if everything was totally consensual, and his reputation is severely tarnished now because of it. And but
yeah,
these guys, I don't know, it's got to be tough to know who to trust when you're a professional athlete. I mean, who do you know? How do you know who's gonna stab you in the back or accuse you of something? So
yeah, I'm probably not gonna reach out to a girl on Instagram who's been chasing me through my DMs, but that's a tale as old as time with all these athletes. Since the inception of social media, they have so much easier access to them, and the players love it. It's because they think they're untouchable because they're behind a screen. But once you make that personal connection and that physical connection, things can go haywire. So hopefully this is a cautionary tale for other young athletes, and just you don't need to keep it in your pants. I'm not saying that. You need to just be smarter. Know that there is opportunity for disaster on the horizon. you know,
Yeah.
but well, good luck to Trevor. We'll see what happens. And I'm not rooting for him, but I'm not rooting against him. I think we need to just let MLB do its thing, and if he gets back into the game, great. If not, that's a bummer. But no matter what, the Dodgers need to make a decision quickly here on what they're gonna do.
It's a totally different season now, new season. So wash away whatever strategy we're holding on to 2 years ago for a short season championship. Totally new ball game now.
Oh yeah, exactly.
How do you guys feel about their pitching or their bullpen going into this year though?
I'm just worried that they're gonna get through this lockout. To be honest, I don't want to see any delay in the season. I mean, that's kind of priority number one. They're not even coming to the table at all. But as far as the bullpen, yeah, I mean, I think that's why we haven't seen really any moves. Because typically in the winter season is when you see all the signings happen, but you haven't heard anything because of this looming lockout. So who knows what's gonna happen? But the Dodgers front office, I do have a lot of faith in them. They've been putting a great product out there for the last 7-8 years. I have a lot of faith that they'll make the right decisions to get a very competitive team out there. So I'm not worried about that.
Yeah.
They have a huge budget, so they should be able to extract some value from it.
Yeah, what was their roster makeup last year? Was $1 billion roster. I remember once that trade happened. Well, we got my goodness, I can't even think of the second baseman that we got. Smooth as silk.
The batting king.
Yeah, exactly.
The batting champ.
The batting champ that didn't show up in the playoffs. Yeah, Trey Turner. Exactly. After he got him, I was like, this roster is $1 billion.
Yeah, he was terrible in the playoff. I did watch.
Why did they call him the batting champ?
Dodgers playoffs games, and boy, did he do nothing.
He got a hell of a lot of experience for doing nothing, though. So maybe he can bank on some of that. Can't get any worse.
Can't get worse. So, all right, Brandon. Well, we're at the 7:40 mark here. Kind of give us we've had a unique couple weeks here with crypto, right? We were watching the skyfall 2 weeks ago to this week. We've seen kind of a rebound with of not epic proportions, but of finally a sigh of relief proportions. So kind of break it down for us on what happened over the markets over the last couple of weeks and how the dip turned into a nice little rise here.
I think the first thing to focus on or put in perspective, zoom out a lot. Let's be a little thankful for what we have. We're looking at volatility, or the VIX. So this is right around C19 hitting in early 2020, and you can, it's been oscillating, not too bad, right? Another bad inflation number today, 7.5%. I guess it was an overshoot. That's worrisome. S&P 500, good to look at this, put it in perspective. Big old drop, beginning of 2020. Nice and steady. It's kind of the benchmark to compare everything against. Put a white line there to suggest when we run into the next Fed meeting, which I would expect probably just a lot of channel movements until then, and then based on that, Fed see if they raise it a half a point, or I doubt more, but odds on are kind of moving up the spectrum of one full rate hike in the next 3 meetings. So one of them's got to be 50, and the next 2 after that are a quarter each. I don't know if that really makes sense. I think the safe bet is to make your market decisions on the lower end of that realm, meaning how much can they really raise rates and increase the debt payments on their debt already. So so I think you'll just see a lot of kind of just flatlining, but a couple of interesting things I'm watching, and we'll get into Bitcoin in a second, but it kind of like the picture starts to arrive at very similar patterns here. Amazon's got a lot of unique businesses, so I kind of put 2 lines there to show a couple of support patterns. But if you can kind of see flat, right? Google is a stalwart. It'll just slowly go up over time. Not huge growth, but just slow and steady. Keep that in mind.
Nice.
Looking at Tesla, bunking Bronco a little bit, but you kind of see the trends line, so slow and steady. We're zooming out, right? We're looking at, these are the weekly closes, I believe. Yeah, each of these candles is a week period, 1 week. Really interested in MicroStrategy. They carry a ton of Bitcoin. Good area of getting in here. They first started Bitcoin back here in September of, 2020? I think maybe even a little bit sooner, somewhere around there. But you can kind of see the first run up. It was incredible.
Yeah,
Anyway, so
that
good.
was wild.
Good pattern there. Yeah. And then here's Bitcoin. Bitcoin's got some very similar pattern to that. So we talked a few weeks ago, 3 weeks ago was the first time I showed this. We talked about a big expiry Friday. I said there's going to be fireworks because we got not only short sellers were in charge 3 weeks ago, but we knew we were running up against a long-term resistance, descending resistance, that downward triangle, and then very long-term support, right? So, it's kind of like forcing a ping pong ball that's bouncing between your paddles down into a smaller range. It kind of speeds up and either spins up or spins down. Saw it spin up. But when we talked, 2 weeks ago, I knew it kind of felt like it couldn't get any worse. Like it just seemed to be capitulation. And we've got only 2 weeks of pattern reversal going back up now. So not going to, say too much here, but what I would expect, or it would be nice, is if it kind of did like a double bounce like that. And then you have kind of one more period right at that next support line, whatever that line ends up being. But it could also run into right when the Feds talk, which is right about here, where the line is, the vertical line.
Vertical line.
So we got
okay.
so we got a few more weeks to kind of prove out some stuff. But everything I see is, we're in a very good spot right now until, let the tax season people kind of wash out their portfolios to pay for big taxes. And then, I would argue we're going to start seeing more fireworks come March, but everything is on sale right now. I personally have started getting rid of the big ETF positions, the really, really diversified funds, kind of just narrowing down the range to the 5 or 6 individual equities that I like the most. I'm kind of worried there'll be a little shakeout period. Debt will have to get paid off. Interest rate arms might start going up. So the companies that have been zombieing for 2 or 3 years on really cheap money will have to start demonstrating earnings power. And if they don't, then I'm kind of worried like the left tail of a normal distribution curve will get kind of chopped. So S&P 500, in my opinion, I kind of started with it. Needs to really prove itself on earnings here. And so far we're okay, but I would I'm starting to simplify my positions into the true winners, and let's just keep it kind of small for a little bit. I would never just sell everything to hold it in cash, because I think you should always stay a little bit in the market or invested in it, but I'm definitely narrowing my offerings down. Certainly not financial advice on the internet here, but I'm excited because I don't think there's a better time for the truly growth potential companies, the big ones, the ones that are established and demonstrated. I think they've got incredible upside potential. So nothing but excitement until probably mid-March. And then after mid-March, if Bitcoin does what I'm hoping it does, I think you can see 50,000 challenge very easily. And then maybe like a quick little hop back up to 70,000 by April or May or June, somewhere around there.
Oh man, the heights it
And
was
then
at
from
last
there,
summer.
even more. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then one more hyper parabolic jump, because the amount of Bitcoin on exchanges right now is going down like roughly 100K per month, meaning, people keep liquidity in the market because it trades 24/7. So you'll see like a lot of volatility in the night because the stock market's not open, or at least not here domestically. So you'll see Bitcoin still moving, but over the long-term trend, all these coins keep getting removed from the exchanges. And so we're at like 1.1 million to 0.9 million left, left on the exchange. We're losing about 100K a month. And what'll happen is a few months will go by. If that trend continues and we get down to 0.8 or 0.7 million, I think the news will be out and there could be a bum rush for it. And then like what'll happen there is supply is going to have to accommodate bringing people off the exchanges and taking profits. So, very, very hopeful. I hope it's not hopium, but this is like the most exciting. This is like 1999 in the internet days, and we're literally just watching it. So we've got 10 years of upward trajectory on this thing. So every week you're going to get bored of me saying it. More news keeps coming out, but despite all the negative, numbers, with some of the like the resets and global politics and stuff, the long-term trends, the global adoption is just nothing but up. This is a number go up technology, and I'm super excited to be eyeballing it very closely right now.
Oh, nice, good. Love that term, hopism. That's great.
Yeah, hopium, slinging hopium. Yeah, it's hard to go out online. Like I saw my tax guy today, which I always like getting that meeting done. It kind of wears me down just thinking about it, and it's better than I thought it was going to be, but we found ourselves talking about digital asset space, and he's like, I gotta finish your taxes, I gotta give, and I'm like, yeah, let's, and he'd go off for 5 minutes to his thing and come back and say, so what do you think about this chain? And next thing you know, we're going back off again. So it's out there. KPMG just bought into it in Canada. They bought a little Bitcoin and Ethereum, and they're one of the big 4 accounting groups. They're talking to all the companies, the S&P 500. So if they're talking to all the companies, advising them, then, and they're thinking, maybe we should put some in our reserves, then yep, just wait till a few weeks go by where all these corporations kind of set up corporate accounts just to prepare themselves, and could be a big,
right. I mean, and that's the big indicator, right? I mean, you start seeing these big 4, big 5 accounting firms start to dip in here a little bit. That should be a huge red flag for everybody. Like, hey, they're starting to take it seriously. So, yeah, that's very, very interesting. Yeah, tax season right around the corner here. So, Brandon, of course, I know you. We've known each other for many, many, many years. I know you're always like a guy that's on the ball with everything. You like to knock the tax season out right away. I think we're gonna go see our guy here, I think, in the next week or so too. Yeah, I think it's a good strategy. Tim, what about you? Are you kind of the guy that does your taxes early, or kind of hold out to the April, deadline?
I usually do it earlier. Yeah.
Yeah.
Get it out of the way. I don't like to leave stuff like that till the last minute.
Well, I always think it's funny. Like, I don't understand why people would wait so long, because if you're getting a refund, like, get that knocked out so you can get that money and then reinvest it into something that's gonna generate you some more money quickly. Like, I've never understood the whole process of delaying tax season.
Yeah, I've never understood people that like to get a big tax refund though at the same time. But
yeah,
I'm sure Brandon will agree with that. Like, I try to make it so that hopefully I don't owe anything, but don't have to get a big refund either, because then that means I just screwed myself for the year by loaning free money. So yeah.
exactly. Yeah, you got it's a delicate balance, right? Delicate balance. And Brandon, how long have you had your tax guy? I know we've been going to our guy for just over about 10 years here, but how long have you been working with your dude?
He was an elk, and he got recommended me through a friend at Chapman when I was going there, and yeah, he's been great. He's just very see each other once a year, spend a few hours, and it's nice having somebody else represent you. And I was getting when I was trying to do it myself for all those years, it just became too much work, so it made sense to me to find a guy, and he's just like us. He's got 3 girls, and where he probably works 3 or 4 months of the year and then takes the rest of the year off, who knows. But yeah, it's good. I like knocking it out.
Nice. Yeah, good deal. Oh, let's knock on the door, but we'll leave that be. So yeah, we're kind of wrapping up here. We just got a few minutes left to go. I don't know if Brandon even watching. I don't know if Tim you watched last night, but I watched the finale of Boba Fett last night. I kind of want to dip into this a little bit, just because I know it's kind of a hot button topic. So I don't. Brandon, have you been watching the show at all?
I haven't started it, so I'm gonna leave. I want you to guys go ahead and keep talking about it, and I'll catch up with your dialogue later.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Yeah, we'll see if Tim and I can break it down for it. But
All
thank
right,
you,
cheers.
Brandon, for all the insight. All right. So Cody, Tim, did you watch the season finale?
I did, yeah.
Yeah. So what was your initial thoughts, takeaways?
I mean, it was exciting, obviously. Spoiler alert, lots of battle. It was mostly all battling, but I don't know. It's just I'm kind of like back and forth on the show. It's like there's things I like about it, and then there's things about it that are just so cheesy that I like can't get past it. But I mean, altogether, like last night's episode was pretty good. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I felt last night's episode was really, really fun, exciting, a great way to round it out. But what I kind of taken away from the show, it wasn't really a Boba Fett show. It was really like an expanded universe show. So while I was a little disappointed they called it the Book of Boba Fett, I mean, if episode 5 and 6 were strictly Mandalorian episodes, it was like watching the Mandalorian, right? I mean, it wasn't.
Yeah, it
Boba
feels like
Fett.
it's a stepping stone to the next whatever is next. Like it's not really its own thing, but yeah, obviously when they brought the Mandalorian back, they end it with the Mandalorian flying off in his ship with Grogu. So it's like that points to where they're going to go next, I'm sure, in some fashion. But
Yeah,
this,
I definitely have some theories on that too, based off of what happened in the season of the show. But yeah, I'm not gonna say I was disappointed with the show because I'm not. I was actually very appreciative of the show, what it brought, the characters it brought, especially when it brought Cad Bane in. I was like, he was the Western bounty hunter that you saw there at the end. I don't know if you were a Clone Wars fan, you know who he was right away. It was like really awesome to see his live action debut, and then seeing him interact with Cobb Vanth and Cobb Vanth, you know, being in the back to tank at the end of the end credit scene. So it's like cool, he's not dead yet, so they could expand on that whole character because I thought Timothy Oliphant was great as Cobb Vanth, as the sheriff. So
yeah,
that's pretty awesome. So I'm hoping that they can dip into that a little bit more as well. But overall, I thought the show was really fun. Yeah, there was a couple episodes there that probably unnecessary, but the Mandalorian connection was great. I'm gonna call this show Mandalorian 2.5, and leading into season 3, right? Because season 3, I believe, in Mandalorian is when in episode 5 of Boba Fett, when the Smith worker was telling him that he's not a Mandalorian anymore, and the only way he becoming a Mandalorian again is to go to Mandalore and go into the wells within the planet and kind of like repent for what he did for taking off his helmet. So I feel like that's where season 3 is gonna head. And
maybe.
yeah, anyway, and he's got the dark saber too. That was the other like cool thing I loved about the show was that people were like, "Oh, is the dark saber gonna come out?" I was like, "It has to come out." He after Mandalorian season 2, he was the wielder of it. Of course, he's gonna have it. So as soon as he had it right away, I was like, "Thank." I was appreciative of Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau. Were like, "Yes, he's got the dark saber. He is the leader of Mandalore. There's no question about it." And I love
Yeah.
that he already got challenged right away for it by his guy from his own tribe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
do you know that other Mandalorian is Jon Favreau in that suit?
Oh, it was the
Yeah.
guy you fought?
Mm-hmm.
No,
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Yeah, that's Jon Favreau. So he plays the other Mandalorian. And actually, so what he is, it was interesting. Like during Din Djarin's battle with him over the darksaber, and when he actually got it, you notice how he said, "Oh, finally, this is back in my family's possession." He's a descendant of Vislas, which is one of the original Mandalorian who created the darksaber. So he was the first Mandalorian that became a Jedi Knight too. So he was the one that created that darksaber. So it's a cool kind of thing. So he's a descendant of that guy, and that's why he was like so happy to get it back for his family's lineage. But then Din got it back. Din Djarin got it back again. So it's like, oh, sorry, man. Kind of took it away.
Yeah.
So, but I think season 3 of Mandalorian will be maybe Bo-Katan. We remember Bo-Katan from season 2, right? She's the rightful heir to the throne. She's gonna be like not letting him off the hook so easily, just being the leader of Mandalore. And so I think they'll have a run in, and Grogu's obviously gonna play a role. I think it's pretty awesome that Grogu picked being a Mandalorian or a foundling over a Padawan. It's pretty
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, my wife and I debated that. I said, he's probably gonna pick the lightsaber, and then at some point in the distant future, he'll save the Mandalorian from something when he's a Jedi. But yeah, but he still saved him anyway. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, what I think they can go from here is like they can make Grogu kind of one of those rogue Jedi's because he obviously has very very high Force potential. I mean, you've seen it with the Jedi training he did with Luke and the way he put down the Rancor, with the Force, and so that's not going away anytime soon. So maybe he'll be one of those weird outcasted Jedi's that is a Mandalorian that uses Jedi powers.
yeah,
Yeah, so that'll be kind of cool. I was hoping we'd get the full like Mandalorian helmet shot and everything on Grogu. That would have just like made the internet explode if we would have got. It would have been so awesome.
it's probably
But
coming.
I
Yeah,
think so. Like a little season 3, yeah. Because if he's gonna go full Mandalore, right, he's got to wear the helmet and everything. So that would be really really funny stuff. But I
yeah.
think
I mean,
Disney. Uh,
go ahead.
oh no, Disney's gonna say he's too cute to put a helmet on him. So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, but I definitely like the Mandalorian a lot better, just as a series. But I mean, yeah, but it still had, definitely had its moments. There's a lot of cool scenes and stuff. Like the train, whatever, the train scene. Where they basically, it was like a Western train robbery. That was cool. But then just like the punk kids with their
the Power
colorful
Rangers
bikes. Yeah. It's like that was so cheesy, but
yeah, it was tough, right? Because there was some moment like I thought the Tusken Raider whole build up family becoming a Tusken Raider and like I said that train robber episode were stellar. I thought those two episodes were just incredible. And then yeah, like once he's the Daimo again and like they fast forward to present, it gets kind of soft. But then when they cut to the Mandalorian, like what is he doing during this time and how does he get back connected? I thought that was great set up there. So yeah, the show was a little bit all over the place, little uh discombobulated, but overall they wrapped it up really nicely. They made Boba Fett taking down Cad Bane canon, which is great because there's always been a lot of questions in the fandom on what happened to Cad Bane after Clone Wars. So now we know this is great. Because the thing with him and Boba Fett, they have a long history, and they alluded to it at the finale where he was talking about how Cad was making fun of him, like, hey, you have your dad's blood in you, and your dad was a killer. So Cad and Jango Fett, you were bounty hunters together. So that's how old Cad is. He's like an old school dude. And so he's like, I know you. Like, I trained you. And that's the other thing, too, is like a lot of the old comics and a lot of the old lore is that Cad Bane also trained Boba when he was very young. After Jango died, he kind of took him under his wing. So there's history there, kind of like a father figure, but also so he was also harsh to him because he's like, dude, you got to watch out for yourself. He's like, if you're gonna be in this life, there's no friends. You're gonna be a loner. And he even tried to give him that last lesson at the end, and Boba got the best of him. But so it's kind of cool to see like that story go full circle, and now Cad Bane's kind of story's dead, and we'll see where they go from here. Yeah, I did love.
I think the only thing. Go ahead.
I did love Fennec Shan. I thought she was one of the best characters in the show. I thought she was great. The way they ended her arc in the show too, with the taking down all those two, the Pike Syndicate and all the leaders of the other heads of the mob bosses. I was like, okay, that was a great way to end it. Kind of show her ruthlessness, right? So I was like, Fennec.
I thought
was
they got
cool
off
character.
easy though. They got off a little easy there, But I was hoping it would be a little bit more. I don't know. I guess eventful. It was just. It was just kind of surprising to see all them get taken out like that. It was just so quick, and she was the only one there. But I don't know.
Yeah, I think they never really got a chance to show her because again, if you watch Clone Wars, you've seen Fennec in action, but only in animated versions. So, and even on this show, you really never got to see her like abilities, like how good of a assassin she is. So that kind of scene was kind of like a wrap up, like this is how deadly she is. Like she just took out, 6 or 4 mob bosses in an instant. So
yeah,
mm,
I guess I didn't see it that way. Yeah, I just expected them to make a big show of it, I guess, but there was enough action now, I think so.
Yeah, well, down the pipeline now we have Obi-Wan Kenobi coming out, and there's already been press releases that the show is going to be released springtime of this year. So I'm excited for it. Hayden Christensen coming back as Darth Vader, so we're going to have a lot of crazy things going on, I think, with Star Wars here in this year. So I'm excited for this Obi-Wan Kenobi show. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, that should be good.
Oh yeah. All right, Tim. Well, thanks for joining. I will see you around. We'll enjoy the Super Bowl. We'll probably chat after the Super Bowl just as the NFL wrap-up show, and then we'll move on to there into different seasons, and maybe we give some hockey updates. I know you love your hockey, so you got to tell us what's going down with the hockey season.
Well, I don't have any way to watch it. Like they have games on TNT every once in a while, but I got to get ESPN Plus, I guess, because I don't see like any games now. It's not televised really at all like it used to be. But playoffs will be, May, June. So that should be more. All right. But yeah, hopefully the Kings will be in it. They're doing good so far, but we'll see.
All right. Well, good deal, Tim.
All right.
All right, dude.
All right.
Have a good one.
All right, you too.
Bye.
Bye.